Hello, I'm Jonathan Pierce with Pierce Performance, and we're back for our weekly performance tip. This week we're going to talk about shoes and buying shoes. I constantly, all day in my practice and also in my personal life, even maybe when I meet someone and find out I'm a runner, that I get questions about shoes and how to choose the right shoe. And it's a really difficult issue for a lot of people. So let's keep it simple. I've got basically five tips to help you navigate through this difficult process. One thing is probably the majority of us should stick to the neutral category. I think most people that I see in my practice can do pretty well in a neutral cushioned training shoe. I don't think you need to go really far outside of that for the average person. Probably 70 to 80% of us can do that. If you're a much bigger person or you have really severe pronation issues, then I think it's indicated to look at a stability shoe or a cushion support shoe. But for most of us, we do pretty well in neutral shoes. And so look for those first and try those on and see if you can find what you like from there. The next thing going along with that is to find something that has a good fit and a good ride. And so what I mean by that is the upper should fit well. The toe box should be wide enough. It should lace comfortably over the top of your foot, your instep. And it should feel like it hugs your heel a little bit. Your heel should not be sliding at all. So find that fit and then make sure it has a good ride. And by that, we're thinking about the midsole. How do you transition through the gait cycle? How does your foot feel transitioning from heel to toe and rocking, going through those progressions of the foot rockers? So I would say that if you can find the firmness that you want in the midsole and you have the right fit, you're probably going to do really well just with that. The next thing would be to not spend on fancy fake inserts. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of people coming to me injured from Roadrunner Sports having bought an 80 or something dollar pair of inserts that they got upsold. And the fact of the matter is that these insoles are not any better than the average Dr. Scholl's insole you could find at a store, and they just are marketed correctly. So beware of these kind of fancy inserts, and I think most of us can probably do pretty well without an insert. Those that want a little bit more of a custom fit, I think you can start by looking at a Superfeet, which comes in a big variety of fits and firmness, and then you can customize it a bit, and then from there, if you do have a specific orthopedic condition or a major injury history of your feet, you may need to get a more specific tailored insert, and that can be done through finding the right podiatrist or the right expert in kind of foot mechanics and footbeds. The next tip for me would be sticking to the major brands. I think there's 7 brands that have been in the running industry since the running boom and the first running boom, and we should focus on those first and try to find a shoe that you like among those because they've been consistent and they've been around and they've been the industry standard. So the brands all come from different parts of the world, but there's some major ones in the US, Nike and Brooks and Saucony and New Balance are the kind of the major ones we have domestically. And then in Japan, they produce 2 great companies, Mizuno and Asics, both produce great shoes. And then in Germany, Adidas has been one of the industry leaders forever. Now, there's 2 other lesser brands that were always involved in the running industry from many, many decades, but now are less, and those are Reebok and Puma. So I would look less at those 2, but they are also historically very strong shoes. So from there, we should be aware of the fad shoes. So my last tip is to beware of the fad brands. If these brands are recently originated or don't necessarily have a proving ground in the running market for a long time, then I would beware of them. There are certain kinds of injuries, certain cases. For example, when people have Morton's neuromas, where I will recommend a Hoka or a Ultra. And I think some of these shoes work really, really well for some of the population. And so I will have exceptions to my rules, but I will not generally recommend to someone that they buy one of these younger fad brands and not necessarily know what the outcome is going to be. I see too many people getting injured in Newton shoes and shoes with springs in them and shoes that are based on cloud technology and shoes that are supposed to shape their booty. And I just think that if these shoes are more marketing than they are historical, we run into trouble a lot of the time. So that would be my major tips. Again, to recap, most of us should stick with a neutral shoe. There's definitely exceptions to that. But look at neutral shoes first. See if you can find something that you like that also provides, tip number 2, the right fit and the right ride. The fit of the upper and the midsole ride are important. Don't spend on the fancy fake inserts. If you're going to spend, go to somebody that's really an expert in it, not a running store. And otherwise, most people can do very well with a Superfeet type insert. And then stick to the major brands and eschew avoid the fad brands unless you've got a specific reason to do so and really have a strong recommendation from somebody that knows what they're doing. Okay, those are my tips, and happy shoe shopping, and thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.